Facebook preaching. Really?
Toľko nových tvári, je to neuveriteľné. Odkiaľ všetci prichádzate?
Wow, who's preaching on Facebook?
This Bhakta Michal, he's not here right now.
Is he here?
No.
Oh.
He's on Facebook.
Just on he's on Facebook.
He's on
He's searching for new faces.
Huh?
He's searching for new faces.
Okay. Yeah, fantastic.
Úžasné.
Let's see. Well, I'm just curious, how many of you never saw me before? You know, in other words...
Takže som len zvedavý, kto z vás ma ešte nikdy predtým nevidel? Ruku hore.
Raise your hands high.
Hore ruky, hore vysoko.
Wow, that's incredible. Keep your hands up, I want to count.
Hore ruky, chcem si to spočítať.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow.
To je úžasné.
Yeah. First thing is I want to congratulate Ananda Dulal getting initiated. Ananda what?
Ananda Dulal.
Ananda?
Dulal.
Ananda Dulal Prabhu getting initiated.
Takže v prvom rade chcem poďakovať, chcem poblahopriať Ananda Dulalovi Prabhu za to, že dostal zasvetenie.
Ananda is definitely the right name for him.
Ananda je definitívne správne meno.
What does Dulal mean?
His meaning is so Krishna is the darling of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj.
Krishna what?
Is the darling.
Darling of Nanda Maharaj.
Dulal means darling.
So
I'm a servant of this darling.
Blissful darling of Nanda Maharaj.
Takže Dulal znamená miláčik, akože Krišna je miláčik Jašody a Nandu, taktiež Ananda Dulal je ako večný miláčik.
And you teach high school?
Yes.
He's teaching in university.
I was thinking about that when I was listening to the kirtan.
Ja som na tým rozmýšľal, keď som počúval kirtan.
And I was thinking, can you imagine having a teacher like this in high school?
A rozmýšľal som nad tým, viete si to predstaviť, mať takéhoto učiteľa na strednej škole?
I guarantee you, I didn't have any teachers like this.
Ja som nikdy nemal takýchto učiteľov.
Most of my teachers were more like morticians. You know what morticians are? They're the people who take charge of the funeral.
Väčšina mojich učiteľov boli viac ako... Pohrebári. Áno, ako... Pohrebníci. No, pohrebári. Hrobári.
Actually, some of them seem more like they should have been like the residents of the funeral, you know, the bodies in the funeral.
Väčšina z nich aj vyzerali, ako keby mali byť obyvateľia tých cintorínov.
Imagine having a high school teacher who's so ecstatic.
Predstavte si mať učiteľa na strednej škole, ktorý je takýto extatický.
Has anybody else been initiated since last time I was here?
Ešte niekto iný dostal zasvetenie, odkedy som tu bol minule?
No. Huh?
Me and Parameshwar.
Huh?
Me and Parameshwar.
You and Parameshwar?
We get second.
Oh, congratulations. Okay, fantastic. Okay. Actually, every time I hear Ananda Dulal Prabhu's kirtans, I think of a statement by Srila Prabhupada.
Vždy, keď počujem kirtan od Ananda Dulala Prabhu, tak si spomeniem na jeden výrok od Srilu Prabhupádu.
I think I probably mentioned this here before.
Myslím, že už som to už tu spomenul.
That Srila Prabhupada said, actually, we don't need philosophy.
V skutočnosti Srila Prabhupada povedal, že my nepotrebujeme filozofiu.
He said we only need to chant Hare Krishna.
Jedine, čo potrebujeme, je spievať Hare Krišna.
He said, but because fools and rascals want philosophy, therefore we have philosophy.
Ale pretože darebáci a hlúpaci chcú filozofiu, tak pre nich máme filozofiu.
And another time he said that we need philosophy to, although all we need to do is chant Hare Krishna, but we need philosophy to convince us to chant Hare Krishna.
A inokedy zasa povedal, že aj napriek tomu, že všetko, čo nám treba, je spievanie Hare Krišna, tak na to potrebujeme filozofiu, aby nás presvedčila, že máme spievať Hare Krišna.
And therefore, Srila Prabhupada put so much time and energy into translating and commenting upon the scriptures.
A práve preto Srila Prabhupada strávil toľko energie nad tým, aby preložil a okomentoval písma.
I just hope that if I have to take birth again, I can take birth as a kirtan leader.
A ja mám takú túžbu, že ak sa znova narodím, tak by som sa chcel narodiť ako líder v kirtane. Actually, he's teaching philosophy.
What's that?
He's teaching philosophy.
Also, paradoxically.
You teach philosophy?
Takže paradoxne Ananda Dola Prabhu ešte aj učí filozofiu.
Really? What kind of philosophy do you teach?
Western, Eastern, Indian philosophy.
Akú filozofiu učíš? Západnú, východnú, všetky?
My favorite topics is Indian philosophy. Achintya Vedanta.
You can put that in?
Yeah.
Oh.
Takže moja obľúbená filozofia je védská, indická filozofia a taktiež ako ju tam trošku miešam.
It's subversive, you know what subversive means? Subversive.
Subverzívny, podvratnícky.
Yeah.
Že ty si taký podvratnícky.
Is there any way to get more air in this room?
Oh, we can try to open this, but then the sun will be shining. But we can try.
Možno, že toto prvé, vieš, to prvé.
Will we bother anybody with the kirtan when I chant Jai Radha?
I don't think so.
No, no problem.
I will not see you. I will not see you.
Here, I need the cartels. And do we bother to read in English somewhere?
Yes.
Wait a minute, can somebody else get it?
Let me think.
Okay.
1 second.
Let's see. They probably don't know Jai Radha, right? Do we have song books or song sheets here?
Máme tu nejaké spevníky, že nevedia všetci text. Jai Radha.
But that's just one, right? That's just one. What did you do? We have any song sheets or song books?
I think many people know this.
Huh? Yeah, some of them.
It's Slovak, this is English, but there's no Sanskrit.
No. Oh,
This is Slovak, this is English. That's only English. It's no Sanskrit.
okay. Let's see. Need a volunteer. Daniel, can you go into my room and get my computer?
With back?
Huh?
Or with back? Or computer?
Just bring the computer. Unplug it. Where all these people are from. They're not all from Motra.
Som zvedavý, že odkiaľ všetci pochádzate. Predpokladám, že nie ste všetci z Modry.
What's the name of that place? Tarnava?
Je niekto z Trnavy?
Yeah, Tarnava? Yeah.
Yes.
Tainava, what else?
Bratislava?
Huh?
Bratislava?
Who's from Bratislava? You're not from Bratislava. I thought you're in Tainava.
No, I'm teaching it, but
Oh.
I'm reading.
Okay, again, Bratislava.
Takže Bratislava, ešte raz.
Wow, incredible. Okay, any place else we missed?
Žilina?
Huh?
Žilina?
Žilina?
Oh, really?
Žilina's way up north.
Yeah.
That's like
2
western.
hours drive to there.
It's almost in Czech Republic. I'm impressed.
Then we have Prievidza and also Nitra. Nitra.
Where?
Nitra?
Nitra.
Nitra.
Where's Nitra?
In like 1 hour from here.
Where, north?
No.
Uh-huh.
And then Prievidza we have.
Okay, thank you all for coming. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Bol som zrodený v najhlbšej nevedomosti a môj duchovný učiteľ mi otvoril oči pochodňou poznania. Zdávam mu svoje najhlbšie poklony.
Can you all hear in the back, okay? Yudhishthira Prabhu?
Počujete tam dobre, Yudhishthira?
Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls.
Zdávam svoje najúctivejšie poklony Vaishnavom, ktorí sú podobní.
Ktorí sú podobné ako veľmi priania, sú schopní plniť priania všetkých a sú plniť určitú podmienenú pokusnú životu.
You gonna do it?
Idú do klope.
No. Constructions.
They asked if somebody is knocking. No, they are doing construction.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 3, entitled Karma Yoga.
Čítame z Bhagavad Gita takej, aká je, kapitola číslo 3, ktorá sa nazýva Karma Yoga.
Text number 5.
Verš číslo 5.
Yeah, I'm going to read it also in English, okay? Sentence by sentence. Nahi kaschit shanamapi jatutishtatya karma krit kayate yavashat kama saiva prakiti jaya gunai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment.
Všetci sú bezmocne nútení konať podľa vlastností získaných z kvalít hmotnej prírody. Nikto nemôže zostať ani na okamih nečinný.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Význam od Srila Prabhupádu.
It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active.
Živá bytosť nie je aktívna len vo vtelenom stave. Duša má už vo svojej povahe určené byť stále aktívna.
Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move.
Bez prítomnosti duše sa telo nemôže pohybovať.
The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment.
Telo telo je len stroj vedený dušou, ktorá je neustále aktívna a ani na chvíľu sa nezastaví.
As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by the illusory energy.
Preto sa musí zapojiť do oddanej láskyplnej služby Krišnovi, lebo inak sa zamestnávala činnosťami riadenými iluzornou energiou.
In contact with material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes, and to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras.
V styku s hmotnou energiou sa individuálna duša stáva podriadenou trom kvalitám hmotnej prírody a aby sa očistila od hmotnej pripútanosti, musí vykonávať povinnosti, ktoré predpisujú šástry.
But if the soul is engaged in his natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him.
Ak sa však duša zamestná priamo v oddanej službe Krišnovi, čo je jej prirodzenou funkciou, potom všetko, čo robí, jej prináša prospech.
The Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17 affirms this.
Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17 to potvrdzuje slovami.
Čakva svadharman charanam bhujan harer bhajan apokvota patektato yadi yatrakva vabhadram abhudamushakim kovarta apto bhajatan swadhanataha. Quote, if someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute the devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss or evil for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastras, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna conscious? Unquote.
Citát. Kto oddane slúži Krišnovi, nič nestratí, aj keby si neplnil povinnosti predpísané v písmach, alebo by nevykonával oddanú službu dokonale a dokonca ani keby poklesol. Aký prospech však človeku prinesie vykonávanie očistných obradov predpísaných v šástrách, ak si nie je vedomý Krišnu? Koniec citátu.
So the purificatory process is necessary for reaching this point of Krishna consciousness.
Takže očista je nevyhnutná pre pokročenie na úroveň vedomia Krišnu.
Therefore, sannyas, or any purificatory process, is to help reach the ultimate goal of becoming Krishna conscious, without which everything is considered a failure.
Sannyasa a všetky očistné úkony sú preto, aby človeku pomohli dosiahnuť konečný cieľ, vedomie Krišnu, bez ktorého možno všetko považovať za neúspech.
The verse again. Nahi kaschik shanamapi jaktu tishtat yakarma krit karyate karma sarva prakriti jayaganai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment.
Preklad veršu. Znova. Všetci sú bezmocne nútení konať podľa vlastností získaných z kvalít hmotnej prírody. Nikto nemôže zostať ani na okamih nečinný.
So this is a particularly important verse and purport.
Toto je obzvlášť dôležitý verš a význam.
As Srila Prabhupada begins the purport, he says that it's not a question of embodied life.
Ako Srila Prabhupada začína ten význam, tak tam hovorí, že nie je to otázka vteleného života.
In other words, what he means is that it's not that you're active because you have a body.
Inými slovami, čo chce povedať je, že nie ste aktívni z toho dôvodu, že máte telo.
This is what impersonalist philosophers think.
Toto je to, čo si myslia impersonalistickí filozofi.
That the only reason you're active is because you're in the material world and you have a material body.
Že jediný dôvod, prečo si aktívny, je preto, že si v hmotnom svete a máš hmotné telo.
And in your natural spiritual condition, you're not active.
A vo vašej prirodzenej duchovnej pozícii nie ste aktívni.
But that's not confirmed by Krishna.
Ale toto Krišna nepotvrdzuje.
In this verse, also other verses.
V tomto verši, taktiež v ďalších veršoch.
Because the soul is by nature active.
Pretože svojou povahou duša je činná.
Having a material body and living in the material world is in a diseased condition.
To, že máme hmotné telo a žijeme v hmotnom svete, tak to je chorobný stav.
When Like when you're sick, when you're diseased, you can't be active.
Ako keď ste chorí, keď máte chorobu, tak nemôžete byť činní.
You're not more active when you're sick. You're less active,
Nie
right?
ste aktívnejší, keď ste chorí, ste menej aktívni.
You just have to lie there in bed.
Iba musíte ležať v posteli.
And, you know, maybe you can do crossword puzzles.
Možno môžete lúštiť krížovky.
Or play solitaire. You know what solitaire is?
Alebo hrať solitér.
Maybe if you're not too sick, your brain is working well enough to read Prabhupada's books.
Možno, ak nie ste príliš chorí, tak vám mozog natoľko dobre funguje, aby ste mohli čítať Prabhupadové knihy.
But really what you want to do is you want to get out of bed and you want to be active, right?
Ale čo skutočne chcete spraviť je, že vyskočiť z tej postele a chcete byť činní.
You want to go ride your bicycle and you want to go swimming, etc., etc.
Chcete ísť sa bicyklovať alebo plávať a tak ďalej.
But you're sick, so you can't.
Ale ste chorí, takže nemôžete.
But when you get healthy, then you can be more active.
Ale keď vyzdraviete, tak môžete byť činnejší.
So in the material world, we're sick.
Takže v modnom svete sme chorí.
We have a disease,
Máme chorobu.
very bad disease.
Veľmi zlú chorobu.
It's much worse than cancer.
Je ešte horšia ako rakovina.
It's the disease of material attachment.
A to je choroba hmotnej pripútanosti.
It's the disease of identifying the body as the self.
To je choroba, že identifikujeme svoje telo so sebou samými.
And in this diseased condition in the material world,
A v tomto chorobnom podmienení v hmotnom svete
we're heavily compromised.
Sme veľmi ťažko kompromitovaní.
We can't be as active as we want to be.
Nemôžeme byť tak aktívni, ako by sme chceli.
Therefore, we have to take time to rest the body.
Preto musíme stráviť nejaký čas na to, aby sme toto telo nechali oddychnúť.
I mean, most people spend about 30% of their 24 hours sleeping.
Väčšina ľudí strávi 30% svojich 24 hodín tým, že spí.
Some spend more.
A niekto ešte viac.
And think how much time and energy and money is put into feeding the body.
A už len sa zamyslite, koľko času, energie a peňazí musíte investovať, aby ste to telo nakrmili.
And having a place for the body to stay.
A ešte na to, aby ste mali pre to telo nejaké miesto, kde môže bývať.
And so many things all to do with taking care of the body.
Je toľko vecí, ktoré sú spojené s tým, ako si udržať toto telo.
What if you didn't have a body, a physical body?
Čo keby ste nemali? Čo keby ste... She said that then she does not need to go to toilet.
Yeah, good point.
Takže keby ste nemali hmotné telo, tak nemusíte ísť napríklad na WC.
Yeah, if you didn't have a body, everything would be so much more simple.
Keby ste nemali telo, tak všetko by bolo o toľko jednoduchšie.
You're just a free spirit.
By ste mali len voľnú dušu.
You can just dance and sing and not worry about the toilet.
Tak ste len tancovali, spievali a nemuseli si robiť starosti s toaletou.
Yeah, the scriptures compare the body to a bag.
Takže písma prirovnávajú telo k vrecu.
I think I use this example every time I come to Modra. I don't know why it is. There's something about Modra that,
Takže myslím, že tento príklad používam za každý, keď prídem do Modry. Neviem prečo, niečo to má spoločné s Modrou.
every different place has different kinds of, yeah. Anyway, so it's compared to a bag made of skin.
Takže písma telo prirovnávajú k vrecu vyrobeného z kože.
And in the bag are all kinds of disgusting elements.
No a v tom vreci sú rôzne druhy nechutných vecí.
Blood, pus, urine, stool.
Krv, hníz, moč, výkaly.
Right? It all smells bad too.
Všetko to zle smrdí.
I mean, why do people wear perfume or cologne?
A prečo ľudia nosia parfém alebo kolísku?
You know, it's like, let's say some guy is out somewhere, he's on the bus or something.
Tak predstavme si, že nejaký muž je niekde v autobuse.
And some woman walks by him with some really powerful perfume, and he's just like,
A prejde okolo nejaká žena so silným parfémom a mu sa z toho zahnúť pred očami.
gets completely intoxicated,
A je z toho úplne omámený.
and he wants to have a relationship with her.
A chce s ňou mať nejaký vzťah.
But he doesn't consider, why is she wearing perfume?
Ale nerozmýšľa nad tým, že prečo ona si musí dávať ten parfém.
Because she stinks.
Pretože ona smrdí.
Right? If she didn't stink, she wouldn't need perfume.
Keby nesmrdila, tak by nemusela nosiť parfém.
It's just common sense, right?
Je to len bežný sedliacký rozum, nie?
So the body's like that. It's like a bag made of all these, you know, a bag made of skin with all this stuff inside.
Takéto je telo, je to také vrece spravené z kože a je naplnené týmito vecami.
Like just imagine if you take one of these big bin bags, you know, these big plastic bin bags.
Beanbags.
Bin bags, you know, for waste bin, you know, for garbage.
Takže len si predstavte, ako keď si vezmete odpadkové vrece.
Right? And you put in some stool and urine and blood and mucus.
A keď dáte do neho nejaké výkaly a moč a krv a hníz.
And then you tie it at the top.
A potom hore to zaviažete.
And then you put a wig on it. And then you take a belt and you tie it in the middle.
Zoberete opasok a v strede to stiahnete.
And then let me see, you put some eyes.
Nalepíte tomu oči.
Don't forget the lipstick, one of the most important things. You have to have lipstick.
Nezabudnite na ten rúž, to je jedna z najdôležitejších vecí, že to musí mať rúž.
What's that?
Perfume.
Perfume.
A parfém.
Now just imagine, this bag, it weighs, say, I don't know, say, somewhere between 50 and 100 kilos. It weighs at least 50 kilos, minimum 50 kilos.
Táto taška musí mať niečo medzi 50 až 100 kilami, dajme tomu, že minimálne tých 50.
And wherever you go, you have to take this bag with you.
A kamkoľvek idete, musíte si vziať so sebou túto tašku.
You go shopping at Owl Park,
Idete nakupovať do Auparku
and you have to take the bag with you. You're walking through Owl Park with this bag.
a idete do Auparku a tam kráčate s týmto vrecom.
And then when you get on the bus, you know, you have to take the bag.
A keď idete na autobus, tak musíte si vziať toto vrece.
Everywhere you go, you have to take the bag.
Kamkoľvek idete, musíte so sebou vziať to
And the
vrece.
thing is, there's always the danger that the bag will break.
A tá vec na tom je, že vždy je tam nebezpečenstvo, že to vrece praskne.
And all this stuff inside will start leaking out.
Všetko to začne vytekať.
Now, isn't it embarrassing that you have to take this bag with you everywhere?
A nie je to také trápne, že musíte brať všade so sebou toto vrece.
Wouldn't you feel embarrassed?
Ale necítili by ste sa trápne?
But the body's just like that, it's like a bag.
Ale to telo je obdobné, je ako tá taška, je ako to vrece.
And we have to take it with us everywhere.
A všade ho musíme so sebou brať.
But generally people are not embarrassed.
Ale vo všeobecnosti ľudia za to nie sú, sa necítia trápne.
They're quite proud.
Sú práve, že dosť hrdí.
Like in London, our Govinda's restaurant is right on the ground level.
V Londýne je reštaurácia Govinda na prízemí.
It's a fantastic location right in the center of London.
Je to fantastická lokácia priamo v centre.
And we have these big plate glass windows, huge windows, you know.
A máme tam tieto obrovské presklenené sklá.
And the office building across the street also has these huge windows.
A oproti je budova pre kancelárie a tiež majú tieto obrovské okná.
So it was really funny to watch the people in the morning walking to work, you know.
A bola to zábava sledovať ľudí, ako ráno idú do práce.
Because they notice their reflection in the window, you know.
Pretože oni si všimnú odraz samých seba v okne, v tom skle.
And they stop and,
Tam zastavia.
how's my bag of stool looking?
Ako vyzerá moje vrece plné Mikalov.
So anyway, yeah. So it's a burden. The body's a burden.
Telo je záťaž.
It doesn't make us more active. It burdens us. It weighs on us.
Takže to telo nás nerobí činnejšími, práve naopak nás zaťažuje, nás tak sťahuje.
But in our natural condition, completely spiritual condition, there's no body. There's no physical body.
Ale v našom prirodzenom duchovnom postavení neexistuje žiadne hmotné telo.
And then we can be more active.
A tam môžeme byť akčnejší.
Like for instance, let's say, I don't know if they do this in this country, but at least when I was growing up, when you were a kid, if you did something wrong,
Neviem, či to robia v tejto krajine, ale ja keď som vyrastal, sa to tak robilo, že keď som bol dieťa, keď som niečo zle spravil,
your mother or the teacher would tell you to go stand in the corner.
tak matka alebo učiteľ nám povedal, že aby sme išli do kuta.
Do they do that here too?
Yes. Robia to aj tu.
Go face the corner.
Takže musíš pozerať do kuta.
Don't move.
Nehyb sa.
Don't talk.
Nerozprávaj.
Just stand there.
Iba tam stoj.
Yeah, good luck. To not be active, therefore, is punishment. You understand?
A ako nebyť činný, byť nečinný, práve preto sa to dáva ako za trest.
And how long is this kid going to be able to stand there like that?
Ako dlho tam to dieťa vydrží stáť?
Maximum maybe 2 minutes.
Maximálne možno 2 minúty.
Because he's by nature active.
Pretože svojou povahou je aktívne.
So the soul is by nature active.
Takisto duša je svojou povahou aktívna.
We enjoy by activity.
My si užívame činnosťou.
And Anandamaya Upyasat is the nature of the soul to enjoy.
Povahou duše je, že si chce užívať.
So to make the soul inactive this is not relief, this is not happiness.
A spraviť dušu nečinnú, to nie je úľava, to nie je šťastie.
It's punishment.
To je trest.
On the other hand, because of our conditioning in the material world,
na druhej strane, kvôli nášmu podmieneniu v hmotnom svete,
we tend to act in ways that are harmful for ourselves and others.
máme sklony jednať takým spôsobom, ktorý je škodlivý pre nás, ale aj pre druhých.
But this verse is telling us you cannot avoid being active.
Ale tento verš nám hovorí, že nemôžete sa vyhnúť tomu, aby ste boli aktívni.
Even the impersonalists, they cannot avoid being active.
Dokonca ani impersonalisti sa nemôžu vyhnúť tomu, aby boli aktívni.
Temporarily they can.
Dočasne možno.
Even it may be for thousands of years.
Možno aj keď je to tisícky rokov.
But ultimately they have to act.
Ale nakoniec budú musieť jednať.
Those who think they're very advanced, very liberated.
Tí, ktorí si myslia, že sú veľmi pokročili, veľmi oslobodení.
According to that verse from the Bhagavatam, they have impure intelligence.
Podľa tohto veršu v Bhagavatame, on hovorí, že títo ľudia majú nečistú inteligenciu.
This means that ultimately they have to act.
Tento verš hovorí, že nakoniec budú musieť jednať.
So they will again come to the material world to act.
Takže znova sa vrátia do hmotného sveta, aby tam jednali.
Or they have to act in devotional service.
Alebo budú musieť jednať v oddanej službe.
So rather than waste time by trying to merge into the Brahmajyoti,
Takže lepšie ako mrhať časom tým, že sa snažíme splynúť z Brahmajyoti
and artificially give up activity,
a neprirodzene sa snažíme vzdať sa činnosti,
it's better to admit that I, the soul, am by nature active.
Je lepšie prijať, že ja duša som svojou povahou aktívna.
But I have to have the right kind of activity
Ale musím mať tú správnu činnosť,
in order to become freed from this material existence.
aby som sa oslobodil z tejto hmotnej existencie.
A few verses further on in this chapter,
O pár veršov ďalej v tejto kapitole,
text 9, Krishna
verš
says,
9,
Yad yartat karmanon yatra loko yan karma bandana. Tarartan karma konte amukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction, and that way you will always remain free from bondage.
Každý musí vykonávať činy ako obeť Višnuovi, inak ho pripútajú k hmotnému svetu. Preto, ó syn Kunti, vykonávaj svoje povinnosti pre jeho potešenie, tak sa oslobodíš.
So every time you act, you're doing one of two things.
Takže vždy, keď jednáte, robíte jednu z dvoch vecí.
Either you're because it's devotional service, you're becoming free from the bondage of the material world.
Takže, pretože to oddaná služba, tak buď sa oslobodzujete z hmotného priputania,
Or if it's not for Krishna,
alebo ak tá aktivita nie je pre Krišnu,
then you're becoming more entangled in the material world.
tak sa viac zaplietate do hmotného sveta.
Those are the only two options.
Toto sú jediné dve možnosti.
There's no in between.
Neexistuje nič medzi tým.
There's no neutral ground.
Neexistuje žiadna neutrálna pôda.
Sometimes people say, well, I'm just an observer.
Niekedy ľudia hovoria, ja som len pozorovateľ.
I won't serve Krishna, but I also won't serve Maya.
Nebudem slúžiť Krišnovi, ale nebudem slúžiť ani Máji.
I'm detached.
Som odputaný.
No, sorry, that doesn't work.
Nie je mi ľúto, ale to nefunguje.
And Krishna explains this in the next chapter,
Krišna to vysvetľuje v ďalšej kapitole,
chapter 4, text 18.
4. kapitole, 18. verš.
Karmanya karma yapashet akarma nicha karma yaha saburiman manusheshu sayukta krishna karma krit. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men. And he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all kinds of activities.
Ten, kto vidí nečin v čine a čin v nečine, je múdry medzi ľuďmi a hoci vykonáva rôzne činy, nachádza sa v transcendentálnom postavení.
So somebody might say, well, that doesn't make any sense.
A niekto môže povedať, no tak toto mi vôbec nedáva zmysel.
How can there be inaction in action?
Ako môže byť nečin v čine
And action in inaction?
a čin v nečine?
Crazy philosophy.
To je šialená filozofia.
No, because when you're inactive, you're also taking a position.
A nie, pretože ak nie ste činní, taktiež príjmate určité stanovisko.
It's also, therefore, it's a kind of action.
A taktiež preto je to druh činnosti.
Because you're choosing not to serve Krishna.
Pretože ste si vybrali, že nebudete slúžiť Krišnovi.
So therefore, that how do you say, not serving Krishna, that incurs a reaction.
A táto neochota slúžiť Krišnovi privoláva určitú reakciu.
How many of you have read Bhagavad Gita? Raise your hand.
Koľký z vás čítali Bhagavad Gitu, zdvihnite ruku.
Okay. Good. Okay. Those who haven't, you should read Bhagavad Gita as soon as possible.
A tí, čo ste nečítali, tak by ste si ju mali čím skôr prečítať.
We have Bhagavad Gitas here for sale.
Yes.
Yes? If you want Bhagavad Gita, everybody should have Bhagavad Gita.
Každý by mal mať Bhagavad Gitu.
Without Bhagavad Gita, your life is doomed.
Bez Bhagavad Gity je váš život stratený.
So be sure to get a Bhagavad Gita before you leave.
Takže uistite sa, aby ste si jednu vzali, kým odidete.
Okay. So what was the point I was making? That
Action in action.
yeah, but oh dear, lost my point.
Crazy philosophy, you said?
Yeah.
In action, in action.
What's that?
You said that
To som hovorila.
Huh?
In action, in action.
Yeah, but I was making, but there's a reason why I brought up Bhagavad Gita. Oh, I know, because I want to talk about Arjuna.
Takže hovorím o Bhagavad Gita, pretože chcem rozprávať o Arjunovi.
You see, Bhagavad Gita in one sense is a little hard to understand.
V jednom zmysle je ťažké rozumieť Bhagavad Gite.
If you don't have spiritual vision, you will take Bhagavad Gita the wrong way.
Ak nemáte duchovný pohľad, tak budete hľadiť na Bhagavad Gitu nesprávnym spôsobom.
And you'll misunderstand it, and you'll think of it in a material way.
A zle ju pochopíte a budete o nej rozmýšľať hmotným spôsobom.
Anyhow, Krishna is telling his friend and disciple Arjuna to fight.
Tak či tak, Krišna hovorí svojmu priateľovi a žiakovi Arjunovi, aby bojoval.
Specifically to kill his relatives. Sorry.
Špecificky, aby zabil svojich príbuzných. Je mi ľúto.
This doesn't mean that after you read Bhagavad Gita, you go kill your relatives.
Toto neznamená, že potom, čo si prečítate Bhagavad Gitu, by ste mali zabiť svojich príbuzných.
This is a special arrangement for Arjuna. Okay?
To bola špeciálna situácia, čo sa týkala Arjunu.
And it was Arjuna's duty,
A bola Arjunová povinnosť,
because his relatives had become demoniac.
pretože jeho príbuzní začali byť demonickí.
Now, Krishna doesn't need Arjuna to kill people.
Krišna nepotrebuje Arjunu, aby niekoho zabil.
Krishna is quite competent to kill people by himself.
Krišna je dosť schopný na to, aby sám zabil ľudí.
After all, he's killing everyone,
Nakoniec on zabije každého.
right? Death rate is 100%.
Takže ten pomer úmrtnosť je 100%.
No, who's killing? Krishna.
A kto zabíja? Krišna.
Krishna's, what are they called? Serial killer.
Krišna je sériový vrah.
But he does it with love.
On to robí s láskou.
So anyway, yeah, so Krishna doesn't need Arjuna,
Takže Krišna nepotrebuje Arjunu,
but Arjuna was a kshatriya.
ale Arjuna bol kšatria.
Therefore, his role in society was to protect people from wrongdoing.
A preto jeho rola v spoločnosti, jeho úloha v spoločnosti bola taká, aby ochránil ľudí pred tým, aby konali zle.
So it was his duty to kill these people.
Takže to bola jeho povinnosť, aby týchto ľudí zabil.
But he decided he didn't want to do his duty for killing his relatives.
Ale on sa rozhodol, že nechce spraviť svoju povinnosť zabiť svojich príbuzných.
He said, no, it's okay.
Povedal, nie, tak toto je v poriadku.
Love, peace.
Láska, mier.
Arjuna wanted to be a hippie.
Arjuna chcel byť hippík.
But just imagine, Arjuna was like at least 3 meters tall.
Ale predstavte si, Arjuna, on bol aspoň 3 metre vysoký.
You know, he had shoulders out to here.
On mal také obrovské ramena.
He had muscles on top of his muscles.
A mal svaly na vrchu svojich svalov.
He made Arnold Schwarzenegger look like a little boy. Compared to him, Arnold Schwarzenegger looks like a little boy.
Takže keď porovnáme s ním Schwarzeneggera, tak vyzeral ako malý chlapček.
And Arjuna's, you know, love, peace.
Arjuna začne rozprávať o láske a miery.
And one of his arguments to Krishna
A jeden z jeho argumentov voči Krišnovi
is that if I kill my relatives, that will be sinful.
bol, že keď zabijem svojich príbuzných, tak to bude hriešne.
And I'll get a reaction. I'll get a sinful reaction.
A získam hriešne reakcie.
And Krishna said, no,
Krišna povedal nie,
because you're doing this for me, because I'm saying you should do this.
nie, pretože ty to robíš pre mňa, pretože ja hovorím, že by si to mal spraviť.
Actually, on the contrary,
A práve úplne naopak.
if you don't kill your relatives, that will incur a sinful reaction.
Ak svojich príbuzných nezabiješ, tak z toho vyvstanú hriešne reakcie.
But if you do kill your relatives, that will be loving devotional service.
Ale ak svojich príbuzných zabiješ, tak to bude láskyplná oddaná služba.
So Arjuna's idea was that if I don't act, then I won't get in trouble.
Takže Arjunové ponatie bolo, že keď nebudem jednať, tak sa nezapletiem do problému.
But Krishna's point to him is, no, if you don't act, then you're in trouble.
Ale Krišnov bod bol ten, že nie, ak nebudeš jednať, tak potom budeš mať problém.
If you do act, even if you don't, by material standards, seem to succeed,
A keď budeš jednať a podľa hmotných štandardov možno ani sa bude zdať, že si neúspel,
but that will be liberating for you.
ale pre teba to bude oslobodzujúce.
But if you choose not to act, again, this point, Krishna is saying, it's a kind of action.
A toto je ten bod, Krišna hovorí, to je druh činnosti.
So, we got three possibilities here.
Takže máme tu tri možnosti.
One is to act for Krishna.
Jedna je jednať pre Krišnu,
The other is not to act at all,
druhá je vôbec nejednať,
which is impossible.
čo nie je možné.
Nobody can do that,
Nikto to nezvládne,
at least not for very long.
aspoň nie veľmi dlho.
And the third one is to act for sense gratification,
A tretia možnosť je jednať pre uspokojovanie zmyslov.
to act in the context of, material acquisition, material sensual so-called happiness.
A jednať za tým, aby sme získali nejaké hmotné šťastie, hmotné bohatstva, hmotný pôžitok.
So not to act is impossible.
Nejednať je nemožné.
Acting in terms of the material energy, this is, how do you say, it just gets you in deeper, deeper, deeper trouble.
A jednať v hmotnej energie, ako jednať, čo sa týka hmotného jednania, jednanie s hmotnou energiou, tak to je, it's impossible?
Yeah, you just get in deeper and
Tak
deeper, deeper trouble.
potom sa dostaneš ešte do väčšieho problému.
And you suffer more and more and more.
A budeš trpieť viac a viac.
But when you engage in devotional service,
Ale keď sa zapojíš do oddanej služby,
you become immediately happy.
tak budeš hneď šťastný.
Plus, you are gradually freeing yourself from bondage in the material world.
A postupne navyše ešte sa budeš aj oslobodzovať od pripútania v hmotnom svete.
Therefore, everybody should act.
A práve preto by každý mal jednať.
Everybody should work.
Každý by mal pracovať.
But do your action, do your work for Krishna.
Ale svoju činnosť, svoju prácu rob pre Krišnu.
And be happy and get out of this rotten material world.
Buď šťastný a dostaň sa preč z tohto zhnitého hmotného sveta.
Okay, any questions?
Nejaké otázky?
Yes, sir.
Že keď ľudia vonku nechcú prijať túto filozofiu, ako keď im to hovorím stále, alebo tak sa mám vykašľať na nich, alebo pokračovať ďalej.
Okay, so when I'm preaching to people, to some friends of his, and they don't want to take it, so what should I do? Should I just ignore them and stop, or should I continue preaching to them?
That depends on the person.
Takže ono to záleží od osoby.
And it depends on your relationship with that person.
A tiež to záleží od tvojho vzťahu s tou osobou.
Preaching is how do you say, preaching always has to be customized.
Kázanie vždy musíš prispôsobiť.
You have to preach according to time, place, circumstance, and individual.
Že musíš kázať podľa času, miesta, okolností a toho jednotlivca.
Yeah, what's the right thing for one person will be the wrong thing for another person.
Čo je správne pre jednu osobu, môže byť nesprávne pre druhú osobu.
Is that okay?
Je to v poriadku?
Something else? Preferably on the topic of the class. Questions on the topic of the class?
Rád by som bol, ak by sa to týkalo aj tejto lekcie.
Dva komentáre alebo dva verše k tej téme, čo hovoril.
Commentary.
And add 2 verses.
What's that?
He wants to add 2 verses.
Okay. Good.
Zvládanie, nezvládanie situácie v hmotnom svete.
Je to preklad.
What's that?
Managing or dismanaging of situation in material world.
What's that? I didn't understand.
Managing or dismanaging, not managing, situation in material world.
Was the verse?
To je verš.
70:12 to je zvládanie.
7, 10, 12, it's talking about managing the situation.
Oh, in the Bhagavatam.
V Bhagavatam?
Šrímad Bhagavatam. Nevadí, že si v hmotnom svete.
It does not matter that you are in a material world.
Oh, right.
Mal
Okay.
by si vždy neustále načúvať moje pokyny a posolstvá
You should always think of my instruction and message,
a byť vždy pohrúžený v myšlienkach na mňa,
and always be absorbed in thinking of me,
lebo ja som na duša v srdci každého.
because I'm Paramatma in everyone.
Zanechaj preto plodonostné činnosti
That's why I leave fruitive activity.
a uctievaj ma.
What's that?
That's why you should leave fruitive activity and you should worship me.
Okay.
To je zvládanie situácie v hmotnom svete.
This is how to manage the situation in the material world
A nezvládanie
and not managing the situation.
7.13.29.
7:13:29.
Tak ako jelen následkom nevedomosti,
Jeleň?
jelen.
As a deer.
By influence of ignorance?
Huh?
By influence of
As a
ignorance?
deer by influence of ignorance.
Nevidí vodu v studni zakrytej trávou
Cannot see water in a well covered by grass.
a ženie sa za vodou inde.
And it's trying to find water somewhere else.
Živá bytosť zahalená hmotným telom
Living entity that is covered by a material body.
nevidí šťastie vo svojom vnútri
Cannot see happiness inside herself.
a ženie sa za šťastných hmotného sveta.
And it's trying to find happiness in material world.
To je nezvládanie situácie. v
So
hmotnom
this
svete.
is not managing the situation in material.
Good verses.
Pekné verše.
Yeah. So, next book after you get your Bhagavad Gita is get Srimad Bhagavatam.
Takže ďalšia kniha po tom, čo si kúpite Bhagavad Gitu, je, že by ste si mali zabezpečiť aj Srimad Bhagavatam.
Yeah. Our problem is that we can't. There are various ways to describe our problem in the material world.
A sú rôzne spôsoby, ako opísať naše problémy v hmotnom svete.
One way to describe it is we cannot distinguish matter from spirit.
A jeden zo spôsobov, že nedokážeme odlíšiť hmotu od duchovna.
We cannot distinguish illusion from reality.
Nedokážeme rozlíšiť ilúziu od reality.
Therefore, we're confused.
A preto sme zmetení.
But our consciousness changes by studying scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam.
Ale naše vedomie sa mení tým, že študujeme písma, ako je Bhagavad Gita alebo Srimad Bhagavatam.
So we see differently, we see clearly.
Takže vidíme inak, vidíme jasnejšie.
Therefore, studying these two books in particular, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, are super important for serious spiritual aspirants.
Obzvlášť tieto dve knihy Bhagavad Gita a Srimad Bhagavatam sú veľmi dôležité pre vážnych hľadajúcich.
Yeah,
A k tomu, čo hovoril teraz 3.7.11,
Okay, he wants to add to what you said now, so it's verse 3:7:11.
okay.
tak ako mesiac drgaviaci sa na vode,
As a moon reflecting on water.
sa javí pozorovateľovi, ako keby sa chvel,
Okay, so an observer sees a moon in the water and he thinks that the moon is trembling
pretože je v styku s vlastnosťami vody,
because he is in connection with qualities of water.
tak aj duša v styku s hmotou
So similarly, a spirit in contact with matter
vyzerá,
seems
ako keby
as if,
mala vlastnosti hmoty.
she had qualities of water, of matter.
Right.
A 3.27.26
And 3:27:26,
osvietenej duši
enlightened soul
nemôže ubližiť vplyv hmotnej prírody,
cannot be somehow hurt by influence of material nature,
ani keď vykonáva hmotné činnosti,
even though when she performs some material activities,
pretože pozná pravdu v absolútnom
because she knows truth about the absolute,
a svoju myseľ
and her mind is focused
na najvyššiu božskú osobu.
on the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Okay. Good.
Dobre?
So any of you who can't afford to buy Srimad Bhagavatam,
Takže tí, ktorí si nemôžete dovoliť si kúpiť Srimad Bhagavatam,
you can just talk to Avadhuta Prabhu.
tak stačí, keď sa porozprávame
he's memorized the whole thing.
Očividne si to všetko namemorizoval.
Okay, you have one.
Yes, my question refers to the first part of lecture. Bimbek, you know. So how is dancing and singing the spirit?
I was dancing and singing.
How is without body? It says that the spirit has no body.
The spirit soul has no birth.
Yeah.
Takže moja otázka je v prvej časti tej lekcie, keď sme hovorili o tom odpadkovom vreci, že teda ak tá duša nemá telo, tak ako môže spievať a tancovať?
I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
He asked that you said that in the first part of lecture you said that the spirit when it does not have body, then it can dance and sing. Yeah, so how can it dance and sing without body?
No, it doesn't have a material body.
Nie, nemá hmotné telo.
See, in the spiritual world, you see, in one sense there are three bodies.
A v určitom zmysle existujú tri tela.
There's the gross physical body,
hrubohmotné telo,
made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether.
Vytvorené zo zeme, ohňa, vzduchu, éteru, vody.
Earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then there's the subtle material body,
A potom je jemnohmotné telo,
made of mind, intelligence, and false ego.
ktoré je vytvorené v zmysle inteligencie a falošného ega.
A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that the mind is the soul.
Väčšina ľudí robí tú chybu, že si myslia, že myseľ je duša.
The mind is not the soul.
Myseľ nie je duša.
Thank God.
Ďakujem Bohu.
But then, so these two bodies, the gross physical body and the subtle material body, these are temporary.
A tieto dve tela, hrubohmotné telo a jemnohmotné telo, oni sú dočasné.
These are temporary coverings.
Sú to dočasné pokryvy.
Just like, let's say, my kurta is like, you could say the subtle covering, is like the subtle covering.
Ako povedzme, moja kurta je to jemnohmotné prekrytie.
Of mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Myseľ, inteligencia a falošné ego.
But when I put on a coat, the coat is more gross.
Ale keď si dám ešte aj kabát, tak ten je taký hrubší, hrubohmotný.
So it's a gross covering.
To je to hrubohmotné pokrytie.
But then the living being himself is a body.
A duša, tá živá bytosť, ona je telo.
Like sometimes people talk about your soul.
Ako niekedy ľudia hovoria, že tvoja duša.
Like you have a soul.
Akože ty máš dušu.
No, you don't have a soul.
Nie, nemáš dušu.
You are a soul.
Ty si duša.
You understand?
Chápete?
You temporarily have a body.
Takže
You temporarily have a subtle material body and a gross material body.
dočasne máte jemnohmotné telo a hrubohmotné telo.
And you and these two bodies are different.
A ty sa odlišuješ od týchto dvoch tiel.
That's why we call the material world the world of duality.
Práve preto voláme hmotný svet ako svet duality.
Because there's a difference between you and your body.
Pretože je rozdiel medzi tebou a tvojim telom.
But in the spiritual world, there's no difference between the person and the body.
A v duchovnom svete nie je rozdiel medzi tou osobou a jeho telom.
There's still a body.
A stále tam je telo,
But it's an entirely spiritual body.
ale je to plne duchovné telo.
And it's made of completely different substance.
A je vytvorené z úplne iných zložiek.
In the spiritual world, v
duchovnom svete
all the bodies are made of eternity, knowledge, and bliss.
všetky telá sú vytvorené z večnosti, poznania a blaženosti.
Can you imagine?
Viete si to predstaviť?
A body made of eternity, knowledge, and bliss.
Mať telo vytvorené z večnosti, poznania a blaženosti?
You know, say you want to make a sculpture.
A povedzme, že si chcete vytesať nejakú sochu.
And you go to the art supply store.
A idete do obchodu s umeleckými potrebami.
Yes, sir, can I help you?
Áno, pane, môžem vám pomôcť?
Yeah, can you give me some eternity, knowledge, and bliss?
Dáte mi nejakú večnosť, poznanie a blaženosť?
Oh, sorry, we don't have any here.
Je mi ľúto, ale toto nedržíme.
Yeah, so it's, the bodies are completely different. They're bodies in the spiritual world, but they're different.
A sú to tela v hmotnom svete, ale sú iné.
Okay? And these bodies, according to their different relationships with Krishna, they're interacting in loving relationships.
A tieto, and these bodies,
according to their, the kind of relationship they have with Krishna, they're interacting in various relationships.
Tela, oni spolu ako interaktujú podľa toho, aký majú vzťah oni sami ku Krišnovi.
But there's not the downside of relationships here. Downside. There's not the negative thing.
Takže, ale tu nie je tá, pri nich neexistuje tá zlá stránka vzťahov.
You understand? Everybody's looking for love, right?
Každý hľadá lásku, je to tak?
Everybody wants someone to love.
Každý chce mať niekoho, koho by mohol milovať.
And everybody wants to be loved.
A každý chce byť milovaný.
Actually, everybody's desperate for these two things.
V skutočnosti každý je úplne zúfalý po týchto dvoch veciach.
But the thing is, we're looking in where there isn't any of this.
Problém je v tom, že my to hľadáme tam, kde sa to nenachádza.
Love just, but doesn't exist in the material world.
Je mi ľúto, ale v hmotnom svete láska neexistuje.
But in the spiritual world, there's real love.
A v duchovnom svete je ale skutočná láska.
And these different individuals in their different forms are interacting in loving ways.
A títo rôzni jednotlivci v rôznych podobách, oni navzájom jednajú láskyplným spôsobom.
It's understandable that we all want love.
Je úplne pochopiteľné, že všetci chceme lásku.
Because that's our nature eternally.
Pretože to je naša večná podstata.
But just we're looking in the wrong place, that's all.
Ale problém je v tom, že to hľadáme na nesprávnom mieste.
We should keep looking, but looking in the right place.
A mali by sme to stále hľadať, ale hľadať na správnom mieste.
Okay? Yes.
You said there's no love in the material world.
Yes.
But what about love between devotees?
Yeah.
Takže povedali ste, že v hmotnom svete nie je láska. A čo láska medzi oddanými?
Yes, there can be love between devotees.
Medzi oddanými môže byť láska.
Because Krishna is the center of their relationship.
Pretože Krišna je centrum ich vzťahov.
The so-called love of the material in the material world is based on, it's always based on something temporary, something material.
Takže takzvaná láska v hmotnom svete je vždy založená na niečom hmotnom, na niečom dočasnom.
And there's always some degree of, what would you call, like selfishness involved. Not the real self, but the material selfishness, you know.
A vždy je tam zahrnutý určitý stupeň sebeckosti.
It's like, in a relationship, a so-called loving relationship in the material world, each person in the relationship is thinking, what I'm going to get out of this relationship.
Vo vzťahu v hmotnom svete vždy tá osoba rozmýšľa, čo ja získam z tohto vzťahu.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have the relationship.
Inak by ste ten vzťah nemali.
It's like sometimes, you see, say, some poster for a movie, advertising a movie.
Ako napríklad niekedy vidíme nejaký billboard, ktorý reklamuje film nejaký nový.
And you got this unbelievably beautiful woman and unbelievably handsome man.
A je tam neuveriteľne krásna žena a neuveriteľne príťažlivý muž.
Who only exist on movie posters.
Ktorí existujú iba na filmových plagátoch.
And they're looking at each other, and they both look like they're in ecstasy.
Pozerajú na seba, obidvaja sa javia, ako keby boli v extázi.
But the problem is each one is in ecstasy, but for a different reason.
Ale vec je tá, že oni sú v tej extázi, ale každý kvôli inému dôvodu.
She's really happy because she's thinking what he's going to do for me.
Ona je veľmi šťastná, pretože rozmýšľa nad tým, čo on pre mňa spraví.
And he's really happy because he's thinking what she's going to do for him.
A on je veľmi šťastný, pretože rozmýšľa nad tým, čo ona spraví pre neho.
And, a few weeks later, they're killing each other.
A o pár týždňov už sa zabíjajú navzájom.
It's like wedding photos.
Ako poznáte svadobné fotografie.
Everybody looks so happy.
Každý vyzerá taký šťastný.
Then fast forward a year or two.
A potom to trošku zrýchlite o rok, dva.
know, you see them looking into each other's eyes, full of love, so-called.
Vidíte, ako si pozerajú do očí plnej tzv. Lásky.
And they're holding hands.
Držia sa za ruky.
They look so sweet.
Vyzerajú tak sladko.
Then a couple years later,
O pár rokov ďalej
you take another photo.
zoberiete ďalšiu fotku.
They're not holding hands anymore.
Už sa nedržia za ruky.
And they both look like they're on their way to a funeral.
A obidvaja vyzerajú, ako keby išli na pohreb.
You know, and then they have to go to a what do you call a therapist, marriage therapist. Where did the love go?
A musia chodiť k konzultovať s nejakým ako odborníkom, poradcom na manželstva. Kam odišla všetka tá láska?
There wasn't any love to start with, it was just lust.
Tam ani na začiatku žiadna láska totiž nebola, bola to žiadostivosť.
Because you're both thinking what the other person will do for me.
Pretože obidve rozmýšľali, čo tá druhá osoba spraví pre mňa.
And therefore, there's conflict and disappointment.
A preto nakoniec je tam konflikt a sklamanie.
But all that changes when you put Krishna in the center.
Ale všetko sa zmení, pokiaľ Krišnu dáš do stredu.
As Kaya correctly said.
Ako Kaja povedala správne.
Put Krishna in the center, then everything becomes perfect.
Dajte Krišnu do stredu a všetko bude dokonalé.
Okay, so I think what?
I have one more question.
Okay.
I don't understand completely. Like it said that when we go to spiritual world, we will get spiritual body. Yeah. So what we are now?
Okay, good question.
Takže ja úplne nerozumiem, ako sa hovorí tomu, že keď ideme do duchovného sveta, tak získame duchovné telo. Tak čo sme teraz?
Yeah, it's not exactly like that. You don't get a spiritual body.
Takže nie je to úplne tak, že získate duchovné telo.
You already are a spiritual body.
Už ste duchovné telo.
Just covered, that's all.
Ale je prekryté.
But sometimes that kind of language is used.
Takže niekedy sa tento jazyk používa.
To indicate that your spiritual body becomes apparent, it becomes manifest.
Aby sa tým indikovalo, že to duchovné telo začne byť zjavné, začne byť viditeľné, manifestované.
When you remove the coverings.
Keď už dáte preč tie nánosy.
Okay.
So there's no difference between soul and spiritual body.
Yeah, no difference.
Takže neexistuje rozdiel medzi dušou a duchovným telom.
Exactly the same.
And the essence, the soul is energy of Krishna. It's marginal energy of Krishna.
Yeah.
So it's Krishna's energy.
Yeah.
So.
A duša je Krišnová energia.
And it has the soul, the individual soul, has the same qualities as Krishna.
A tá individuálna duša má rovnaké vlastnosti ako Krišna.
But different quantity.
Ale v inej miere.
The soul is tiny and Krishna is big.
A duša je maličká a Krišna je veľký.
Okay? No. Anybody who wants to learn some Bhagavatam verses, you can talk.
Takže niekto, kto sa chcete naučiť nejaké verše z Bhagavatam, tak sa porozprávate za Bhagavatam.
I have a question for all of you.
A ja mám otázku na vás všetkých.
Who's hungry?
Kto je hladný?
Not so many.
Nie toľko ľudí.
Okay, anyhow, maybe we should stop here.
Možno by sme tu mali skončiť.
A little bit late. You know, another thing is I wanted to say earlier, I forgot to mention.
A ešte jednu vec, ktorú som chcel povedať predtým, ale zabudol som na ňu.
I mean, besides the fact that I'm really impressed that so many of you have come from a long distance.
Okrem toho, že to na mňa spravilo hlboký dojem, že toľkí z vás prišli z takej diaľky.
I mean, theoretically, Bratislava is just next door, but it's you know, it generally takes at least an hour to get here from Bratislava, right?
Teoreticky Bratislava je len vedľa, ale vo všeobecnosti to trvá aspoň hodinu sa sem dostať, čo?
It's an endeavor.
Viacej.
What'd she say?
More.
Dneska náš šofér zablúdil.
Today their driver got lost. Their driver got lost today.
There you go. See?
Bus driver.
Bus driver.
Bus driver.
Takže autobus sa zavodil.
Yeah. So, yeah, in other words, it's an endeavor coming here from Bratislava.
Inými slovami, je to úsilie prísť z Bratislavy.
What to speak of? What's the name of that city? Huh?
Žilina.
Žilina.
A čo hovoriť o Žiline?
I know where it is. I've been through there on the train.
A ja viem, kde to je, ja som tady išiel vlakom.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, this is the point I'm making is you're making a big sacrifice to come here.
Ten bod, ktorý chcem ako pozdvihnúť, je, že robíte veľkú obeť, aby ste sa prišli.
It's a beautiful sunny day.
Je krásny slnečný deň.
You know, most people would think we're crazy.
Väčšina ľudí by si myslela, že nám šibe.
You know, we're sitting inside.
A sedíme vnútri.
You know, everybody's sweating.
Každý sa potí.
You know, it's uncomfortable.
Je to, nie je to komfortné.
Just imagine, you could be swimming in the lake.
Len si predstavte, mohli ste teraz plávať v jazere.
But you've sacrificed your valuable time to come here.
Ale vy obetujete svoj drahocenný čas, aby ste sem prišli.
Therefore, you're all very rare souls.
A preto ste veľmi výnimočné duše.
And I really appreciate the sacrifice you've made by coming here.
A ja veľmi oceňujem tú obeť, ktorú ste spravili, aby ste sem prišli.
Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki
You can show them the Bhagavad Gita.
What's
You
that?
can show them the Bhagavad Gitas and maybe you can sign them if they want to buy.
Oh,
Shall I bring them?
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Can somebody else get one? You can keep translating.
Well, they don't know where it is.
Okay, you translate. Okay.
Preklad.
Okay. Listen, as I was saying, so who does not have Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah.
Be honest. Who does not have? You said you didn't. Okay. 1, 2. Who else does not have Bhagavad Gita? Only 2? Everybody else has Bhagavad Gita? No lying. That's great. Okay. Anyhow, yeah, Bhagavad Gita is very important. You need Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is like a survival manual.
Takže Bhagavad Gita je ako návod na prežitie.
It teaches 2 main things.
Učí dve hlavné veci.
How to survive in the material world as long as you're here.
Ako prežiť v modnom svete, pokiaľ sa tu nachádzate.
And how to get out.
A ako odtiaľ sa dostať preč.
Absolutely essential.
Je to absolútne esenciálne, podstatné.
Okay, so we have Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I have only 2
That's okay.
pieces.
We only have 2 who don't have Bhagavad Gita.
Takže máme len dve Bhagavad Gity.
Only 2 people, right?
Yes.
2 people said they don't have Bhagavad
We have only 2 Bhagavad Gitas in Slovak.
Yeah, I'm saying there are only 2 people who said they don't have Bhagavad Gita.
A iba dvaja ľudia povedali, že nemajú Bhagavad Gitu.
It's hard to believe everybody else has Bhagavad Gita.
A je to ťažké uveriť, že každý ostatný má Bhagavad Gitu.
Okay, for those of you who already have Bhagavad Gita,
Takže tí, ktorí už máte Bhagavad Gitu,
the next step is to read it.
ďalší krok je prečítajte ju.
You know, 1 step at a time, gradual process.
Je to postupný proces, jeden krok za druhým.
Okay,
We have some in English too.
we have English Bhagavad Gita. What's this?
Life comes from life.
Okay, life comes from life. For those who have scientific inclination.
Život pochádza zo života pre tých, ktorí máte také vedecké sklony a máme Bhagavad Gitu v angličtine.
Okay? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai!
Mahadyuti Prabhu ki
Jai!